Hey, what's up, film lovers? Welcome back to Box Office Ricky, the channel where we talk movies and dig into the box office numbers and keep it real with people who actually love going to the theater. I'm Ricky, and today we're doing a review that I honestly would not have even known about if someone had not personally put me onto it. The movie is called Over Your Dead Body, and trust me, that title is doing a lot of heavy lifting. So let's break it down. The film follows a deeply dysfunctional married couple, Dan and Lisa, who decide to head out to a remote lakeside cabin to reconnect. Here's the twist. Both of them secretly arrive with a plan to kill the other one, and from there, things spiral completely out of control when a third party crashes their little murder vacation. Now, the director behind this film is Jorma Taccone, and if that name sounds familiar, it should. Jorma is one of the Lonely Island guys, the comedy trio behind some of the most iconic digital shorts in SNL history. He also directed MacGruber and Popstar Never Stopping. Good movie if you haven't seen that, by the way. Two cult comedies that were criminally underseen when they first came out. So if you know Jorma Taccone's work, you already have his sensibility. He likes things weird, absurd, and pushed to an extreme. What's interesting here is that Over Your Dead Body is actually an English language remake of a 2021 Norwegian film called The Trip, directed by Tommy Wiseau. The film has a 82% score on Rotten Tomatoes, both from critics and audiences, so the bar was already set pretty high going to this one. The screenplay for the remake was written by the duo Nick Kosher and Brian McKinley, and the film was shot entirely in Tampere, Finland, which gives it a distinctly cold, isolated look and feel. Now, the cast, I got to say, is pretty stacked. You got Jason Segel leading as Dan, opposite Samara Weaving as Lisa. You also got Timothy Olyphant and Juliette Lewis in the supporting roles. This thing has a lot of talent all over it. Now, real quick, before I kind of give into my thoughts, let me talk about the box office numbers of how this movie actually did. Let's talk about the box office side of things, because this is Box Office Ricky. That's what we do. Over Your Dead Body premiered at South by Southwest on March 14th, 2026, then hit U.S. theaters on April 24th. It opened in about 1,550 to 2,000 locations, which is actually a solid limited release footprint. And it was projected to pull in around $3 million opening weekend. But the reality is it only grossed $1.4 million. And that's what we say in this business is a quiet opening, a very quiet. It came in around 10th place on the domestic box office chart, competing with Michael, the Super Mario Galaxy movie, and Project Hail Mary. It wasn't even close to those releases. I personally did not know this movie existed until someone flagged it for me, and I cover box office for a living. That tells you everything about how little marketing noise was made around this film. On Rotten Tomatoes, it's sitting around 69-70% from critics, which is not bad, but it's also not a slam dunk. Reviews are split. Some critics called it a twisted Hitchcock-adjacent dark comedy with real momentum. Others felt it started strong but fell apart once the gore took over. Letterboxd audiences were similarly divided. The crowd was reportedly loving it up right until a specific scene mid-movie that really shifted it, for the whole vibe in the room. Now, the film was also distributed by independent film company with Amazon Prime handling international. So if it didn't hit near you, it's probably coming on streaming very soon. Okay, so here is my favorite part. This is where I dive into my review. So here we go, film lovers. Here's where I land on this one. Over Your Dead Body is a movie I have generally mixed feelings about, and not in the way where I'm uncomfortable saying either thing. I'm squarely 50-50 on it. There were moments where I genuinely laughed, moments where the dark comedy landed just right. Taccone has a real comedic sensibility, and there are flashes of real wit on the script. But here is my issue. The chemistry between Jason Segel and Samara Weaving just never really clicked for me on screen. There were moments where I generally wondered how these two even ended up together, not in a funny storytelling way, but in a I'm not buying it way. You need to believe in this couple, even as a disaster, for the whole premise to work. And for me, the foundation was very shaky. And look, I have to talk about Jason Segel specifically because, like Jason Segel, I enjoy his work, but there's something about his range of expressions in this film that pulled me out of it more than once. If you ever watched him on Shrinking, he has that kind of like, it's a great show, but you'll notice he kind of has the set of rotation of 3 or 4 faces, and over in Your Dead Body, those are the same faces all over. He's got it's like confused face, sad face, determined face, rinse and repeat. At some point, I stopped watching his character and started watching Jason Segel manage to just be a limited emotion toolkit, and that's not great for immersion. The movie is also a quiet, dark, and I mean literally and figuratively. There's some generally gory violence in the back half. If you're squeamish, that's a real consideration. The tone shifts in a way that I would say is not going to be comfortable with everybody. The film definitely works best as a slow, painted, dark comedy. The jokes are telegraphed. They're kind of layered. I appreciated that approach, but it doesn't always land. And the third act drags before it pulls itself together for the ending. So, who should watch it and who shouldn't watch it? If you're a fan of Jason Segel, Timothy Olyphant, or Samara Weaving, and enjoy seeing these names in something outside the mainstream, you'll generally enjoy dark comedies where the humor is implied, not spelled out, where the jokes are painted slowly rather than to you. If you like the vibe of something like Pulp Fiction's tonal whiplash and want to see the energy applied to a dark relationship thriller, then by all means enjoy it. Now, I would say skip this film if it's a slow, skip it if slow burn dark comedy just isn't your thing. Because if you're waiting for a laugh out loud moment after laugh out loud moment, this isn't it. If you're sensitive to gore, because the back half of this movie gets pretty graphic, you need strong, believable romantic chemistry as your anchor, because the couple never fully convinced me, I would say this movie is just not for you. So my overall verdict on this film, I'm calling this one a soft pass with an asterisk. If you are a Jorma Taccone fan, is your guy. If you the Lonely Island bizarre energy translated to action comedy sounds exactly like your thing, there's enough here to watch. The premise is clever, there are real laughs, and Samara Weaving carries a lot of weight effectively. But I would say Over Your Dead Body is the rare film where the pieces were better than the whole, and Jason Segel's 3-face rotation for me was a speed bump I kept hitting throughout. All right, everybody, that's my take. Film lovers, drop your thoughts in the comments, especially if you caught this one at South by Southwest or opening weekend. I would love to know what you thought, and as I always, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss a new review on Box Office Ricky. Thanks, guys. I will chat with you very soon. But